The three-day audit of the government concluded Wednesday with the closing session spotlighting culture, society, and education. As part of its newest measures to ease the cost of living strain, the government has established a ministerial-level task force to take a more proactive role in managing prices that impact people's daily lives. And as the Lunar New Year holidays Seollal approaches, President Lee Jae-myung is also putting people's daily well-being at the forefront this week, stopping by a community food bank today. Ahead of the Lunar New Year holiday next week, President Lee Jae-myung visited a local food bank to see how some of the local residents there are doing. The issue of people's livelihoods is expected to top his agenda this week. Yoon Jung-min reports.
The first couple have hit the road to see what life is like for some people ahead of the major holiday next week. President Lee Jae-myung and First Lady Kim Hae-young were at a local food bank located in the country's Chungcheongbuk-do province on Wednesday.
하루에 91명이 온다는 거예요?
접수를 맞습니다.
So-called food giveaway corners, funded by the government and private firms, provide free food or essential items to anyone who visits. More than 100 such centers are in operation across the nation, and President Lee has been calling for the need to expand the program.
공짜로 주니까 아무나 와서 막 집어가지 않냐 이런 의심을 하는데 실제로 내가 알기로는 거의 없거든요.
네, 맞습니다.
The president and the first lady also stopped by a traditional market in the region to check food prices, as well as a rehabilitation center for disabled people. With the Lunar New Year holiday approaching, Lee also visited a traditional market near the Blue House on Monday. Top office officials say that livelihoods will be at the center of the president's focus this week. Yoon Jung-min, Arirang News.
And President Lee Jae-myung will host the leaders of South Korea's two main political parties for lunch at the Blue House on Thursday. Presidential Chief of Staff Kang Won-sik said Wednesday that the president will meet Democratic Party Chairman Jung Chung-lee and the People Power Party's Jang Dong-hyuk to discuss a bipartisan cooperation aimed at improving people's livelihoods and ensuring stable governance. Now, with no fixed agenda, talks are expected to cover a wide range of issues, including the president's recent call to speed up legislation. The luncheon marks the second of its kind, following the first last September. The National Assembly today wrapped up the last session of questioning government officials. Heated debate continued between the rival parties on social issues. Our National Assembly correspondent An Sung-jin tells us more.
3 intense days of government questioning sessions ended on Wednesday. On Monday, lawmakers focused on politics, diplomacy, unification, and national security, which was followed by a session on the economy on Tuesday. Wednesday's session centered on culture, society, and education with Prime Minister Kim Min-seok and government officials including the Education Minister, Justice Minister, and Culture Minister present. The ruling Democratic Party used the last round of government questioning to underscore the need for regional administration integration, which is currently being pushed under the Lee Jae-myung administration, and ask the plausibility of the plan before the June 3rd local elections.
Unless the relevant legislation passes the National Assembly by the end of February, the merger of metropolitan governments would be virtually impossible to be completed.
I urge the PPP lawmakers to take an active part by cooperating for balanced national development rather than for partisan interests or political advantage.
Meanwhile, the main opposition People Power Party questioned the current administration's real estate policy, asking whether reconstruction or redevelopment have become taboo words as it criticizes the current housing supply measures. Lawmakers also pressed the government over rising house prices and a weak Korean won.
I believe the economy's fundamentals remain the same, though I'd like to understand why the exchange rate against the dollar has gone up by more than 100 Korean won after the new administration.
It cannot be seen as a problem of fundamentals, nor an issue from foreign exchange reserves or external debt. Though views differ on an appropriate exchange rate, we are doing our utmost to ensure it does not exceed a reasonable level.
The 3-day government questioning session wrapped up with rival parties clashing over a wide range of issues. With a little over 2 weeks left till the end of February's extraordinary session, the National Assembly will now work on the passage of both contentious and non-contentious bills through plenary sessions. An Sung-jin, Arirang News.
South Korea and the Netherlands are stepping up dialogue for cooperation as a major semiconductor powers, seeking stability in a time of geopolitical and trade uncertainty. The first ever joint ministerial dialogue kicked off in Seoul on Wednesday. Our senior correspondent Oh Seong has more.
Two major semiconductor powers, South Korea and the Netherlands, are deepening cooperation across key pillars of economic security. On Wednesday, the two sides held their first ever 2+2 high-level dialogue in Seoul, bringing together foreign and industry officials for a joint strategic consultation. Foreign Minister Cho Hyun and Trade Minister Yeo An-go met their Dutch counterparts, Minister David van Weel and Minister Auke de Vries.
Our two countries have evolved into truly complementary and irreplaceable partners, especially in semiconductors and advanced technologies.
The launch of the 2+2 channel indicates that Seoul and The Hague now see each other as core partners on strategic interests. The format was agreed upon 2 years ago as the country's two leaders committed to building a semiconductor alliance. Both countries are key players in the global semiconductor supply chain. South Korea's Samsung and SK Hynix produce over half of the world's DRAM and NAND flash memory chip supplies. The Netherlands plays a strategic role upstream. It is home to ASML, the world's monopoly in extreme ultraviolet lithography technology, essential for cutting-edge chip production. For both governments, the agenda reflects a shared push to secure stable supply chains for strategic industries, from semiconductor equipment and materials to critical raw materials required for advanced manufacturing. In their joint statement, the ministers pledged to strengthen semiconductor cooperation by linking ecosystems across small and medium enterprises and research institutions, as well as exploring joint R&D in areas such as quantum technology. Amid rising geoeconomic tensions and supply chain disruption, they also agreed to expand coordination on early warning systems, export control consultations, and supply chain monitoring. The ministers further discussed the safe and responsible use of artificial intelligence and cybersecurity. Seoul and The Hague reaffirmed the need to reinforce their strategic partnership, deeming it an invaluable instrument for guaranteeing sustainable growth capacity, economic security, and technological leadership within a rules-based order.
Over the last past years, we've faced unprecedented global challenges and geopolitical shifts that are marked increasingly by superpowers playing power politics. Now, more than ever, for us it's necessary to work together with our partners to protect our shared interests and our shared values.
The next 2+2 dialogue will take place in 2 years' time in The Hague. Oh Seong, Arirang News.
Over in the Middle East, the biannual defense exhibition, World Defense Show, is currently attracting military leaders to Riyadh. South Korea's Defense Minister Gwangju visited the exhibit, in which dozens of the country's defense firms are taking part. For more on this, we invited our defense correspondent Kim Bo-kyung here in the studio. Bo-kyung, welcome back.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Bo-kyung, before we get into what the Defense Ministry's press corps was able to witness in Riyadh, let's talk about the talks between the defense chief Gwangju and Saudi Arabian officials.
Right, so Defense Minister An sat down with his Saudi Arabian counterpart Khalid bin Salman Al Saud on Sunday in Riyadh. And during their meeting, the two countries' state-run defense research agencies signed an MOU to lay the foundation for a mutually beneficial and forward-looking partnership. Minister An invited his Saudi counterpart to South Korea, and the Saudi minister said he hopes that South Korea's technical expertise will help boost Saudi Arabia's defense capabilities. The day after, he held talks with Abdullah bin Bandar Al Saud, the Saudi Minister of the National Guard, on the margins of the defense show. And during these, An noted how the two sides are establishing a firm partnership and called for further advancing bilateral ties in a mutually beneficial manner. In response, Minister Al Saud asked for the expansion of defense ties in areas ranging from personnel exchanges to military education and strengthening the momentum for cooperation in the arms industry.
Now, Bo-kyung, then let's talk about the defense show. I hear 40 South Korean defense firms took part in the exhibition. Now, tell us how significant is the show and what were the most notable parts?
Right, so let me first tell you some of the details of the WDS 2026. So it is the largest defense exhibition in the Middle East. And for this year, more than 750 defense firms from 75 countries attended the exhibition. This year's WDS was more significant in that defense firms are looking for chances to expand their businesses to Saudi Arabia, as the country is targeting spending 50% of the military budget domestically by 2030. 39 Korean defense firms participated, including major companies such as the 3 defense units of Hanwha Group, Hyundai Rotem, LIG Next One, Korea Aerospace Industries, and HD Hyundai Heavy Industries. Now, smaller suppliers set up their booths next to the conglomerates. According to the press corps who actually went there, it was quite impressive how these large and smaller firms were there all together like one team to boost Seoul's drive to work with Saudi Arabia. Now, HD Hyundai Heavy Industries, for example, is stepping up its bid for Saudi Arabia's next generation frigate program, and it said it will pursue the contract in cooperation with smaller firms.
About 250 local partner companies work with us on our warships. Their equipment and parts come together to build one ship. Our strength is not only at Hyundai Heavy Industries, but in the teamwork and synergy we create with our partners.
We have consistently worked with HD Hyundai on Trade Ministry R&D projects, and we're able to succeed in supplying Korean-made navigation equipment for 4 Peruvian Navy ships that HD Hyundai built. Now we are working hard with HD Hyundai to expand this achievement to the Philippines and Saudi Arabia.
Now, Hanwha Ocean promoted its 3,600-ton Jangboko 3 submarine at the exhibition. What's notable is that Hanwha also showcased the importance of boosting ties with small and medium-sized Korean companies, having signed MOUs with a little less than a dozen of them, to jointly pursue opportunities in Saudi Arabia and the wider Middle Eastern market.
Before the exhibition, we visited 60 local companies and found some with good technology. By working with them and building strong local ties, I believe we can overcome strong ties that already exist between European firms and Saudi officials.
Bo-kyung, before I let you go, we certainly cannot leave out the air show by the South Korean Air Force's aerobatic show, right?
Right, so aerobatic, right, the team's name is Black Eagles actually. And they performed to the Grammy-winning soundtrack Golden in the skies of Saudi Arabia. They showed off a series of complex maneuvers, even drawing the Taeguk symbol in the sky, impressing the locals there. For this performance, the Black Eagles left the Gwangju base late last month, stopped in Okinawa, the Philippines, Vietnam, Thailand, India, and Oman before reaching Saudi Arabia. 9 T-50B planes, 4 C-130s carried over 120 personnel and flew about 11,300 kilometers to get there.
It was indeed a long journey for such a wonderful performance in the Saudi sky. Bo-kyung, thanks for coming in tonight.
Thank you.
The government has set up a high-level task force to stabilize consumer prices, especially for everyday essentials like food, and will also investigate businesses for fraudulent practices. Cha Yun-kyung reports.
The South Korean government has launched a ministerial-level task force to implement special management measures aimed at improving the cost of living. Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance and Economy Gu Yun-chul presided over the first meeting of the Ministerial Task Force for Special Management of Consumer Prices at the government complex in Seoul on Wednesday morning. In his opening remarks, Gu said that while consumer prices met the government's target of 2% in January, the cumulative impact of price increases over recent years has left the public still feeling a high cost of living burden. He particularly noted the high cost of food and said the task force would conduct intensive inspections of essential goods closely related to daily life. During the inaugural meeting, Koo highlighted a more pressing issue of some business operators betraying market trust by engaging in unfair collusion or exploiting systems for gain. He added that the government will intensively inspect essential items to eradicate unfair trade practices and move swiftly to correct any distorted distribution structures. Chaired by the Minister of Finance and Economy and vice-chaired by the head of the Fair Trade Commission, the task force will consist of 3 teams to inspect unfair trade practices, monitor fraudulent receipt of support, and review distribution structures. The Finance Ministry said the task force will be operated intensively during the first half of this year. 차윤경, Arirang News.
The Korea Development Institute has revised South Korea's 2026 economic growth forecast to 1.9%, up 0.1 percentage points from last November's projection of 1.8%. In its updated outlook released on Wednesday, the KDI cited a strong semiconductor exports, fueled by the global AI boom, and a steady recovery in private consumption as the main drivers of growth. Exports are now expected to rise 2.1%, while facility investment and household spending also saw upward adjustments. However, the KDI warned of downward risks, including potential U.S. tariff hikes, global trade tensions, and any slowdown in semiconductor demand if the AI hype cools. The southwestern city of Gwangju has hosted a dialogue with the Koryoin community there, reaffirming returning overseas Koreans as members of one nation bound by shared history and identity. Jo Young-eun reports.
To mark Seollal, the Korean Lunar New Year, the Koryoin village in Gwangju came alive with celebration and warmth. Children gathered to receive food packages, which included items like rice and agricultural products. Now home to more than 4,000 ethnic Koreans from Central Asia and descendants of Korean independence activists from the former Soviet Union, the village has also welcomed ethnic Korean refugees who fled Ukraine following Russia's invasion in 2022. Following an earlier meeting in Incheon, the Overseas Koreans Agency met with community members in Gwangju Koryoin village on Wednesday to hear about their experiences and connect them to policy improvements. Key issues raised included residency status, housing and living costs, children's education and language adaptation, and access to stable jobs. Officials emphasized that returning overseas Koreans should not be seen as foreign laborers or outsiders, but as members of one Korean nation who share historical roots and identity.
The answers are in the field. Through today's site visit and dialogue with the community, we are closely identifying the difficulties they face in their daily lives and reflecting those voices in our policymaking process.
Through on-site engagement, the government reaffirmed its pledge to provide institutional support and equal opportunities based on non-discriminatory inclusion. During the event, officials also met with residents in key community facilities, including the Comprehensive Support Center and the Tamoa Children's Park. They connected with the community through cultural exchanges, trying on traditional costumes and visiting the Koryoin Culture Center. These efforts are expected to help build a more inclusive society, enabling returning overseas Koreans to build their lives with stability in Korea. Jo Young-eun, Arirang News, Gwangju.
Hello and welcome. I am your AI sports correspondent Arirang. This section features AI-generated content and scripts, bringing you the latest news from the Olympic Winter Games Milano Cortina 2026. Here are our top stories. South Korean figure skater Taejun Hwan advanced to the free skate competition after placing 6th in the men's singles short program on Tuesday at the Milano Ice Skating Arena. Ta earned 92.72 points in the short program after landing a quadruple salchow and a triple axel, marking his highest score of the season. This result qualifies him for the free skate, which will determine the overall medalists. Ilya Mailinin of the United States leads the field with 108.16 points, followed by Japan's Yuma Kageyama. The combined scores from this short program and the upcoming free skate on Friday will decide the final Olympic standings. South Korea's short track mixed relay team failed to reach the medal final on Tuesday, following a collision in the semifinals. Kim Ki-lee fell after tangling with Kanin Do-dut of the United States. Officials rejected a South Korean request for advancement, citing the team's third-place position at the time of the foul. South Korea subsequently placed second in the B final behind the Netherlands to finish sixth overall. Host nation Italy won the gold medal, with Canada and Belgium taking silver and bronze. Following a day of recovery and training on Wednesday, Korea's short track squad will return to the ice on Thursday for the women's 500 meters and the men's 1,000 meters. South Korea's women's curling team begins its quest for an Olympic medal on Thursday at the Milano Cortina Winter Games. Ranked third in the world, the squad led by skip Kim In-ji will face the United States in its opening round-robin match. The team aims to secure its first Olympic medal in 8 years, following its historic silver at the Pyeongchang 2018 Olympic Games. The match will take place at the Cortina Curling Olympic Stadium, with a second match against the host nation Italy scheduled later on. It was a historic day at the Winter Games as two sets of siblings secured gold medals for their nations. In curling, Sweden's Rasmus and Isabella Vrano claimed a historic victory in the mixed doubles final. Meanwhile, on the ski jumping hill, the privileged siblings from Slovenia soared to the top of the podium in the mixed team event. This marks the first time in Olympic history that siblings have shared gold into different sports on the same day. Before we head out, let's look ahead. Appearing now on your screen are the current medal standings and the upcoming schedule for the Olympic Winter Games Milano Cortina 2026.
Stagnant air is keeping the skies over the central parts of the country looking dusty. With the haze hanging around, visibility stayed limited and the air felt pretty stuffy. Fine dust from overseas gradually moved in and spread southeast, and ultra-fine dust levels reached bad levels across most parts of the country. So don't forget your fine dust mask and take care of your respiratory health. Meanwhile, dry weather warnings have been in place for more than a month in eastern areas. Please stay extra cautious to prevent any accidents with fire. Seoul and Gwangju will start off a bit colder than today at -2 degrees, with Daejeon at -4 degrees. Highs will rise to 9 degrees in Seoul, 8 degrees in Chuncheon. Toward the end of this week, daytime temperatures in Seoul are expected to move back up to the double digits. That's all for Korea. Here are the weather conditions around the world.
That is all we have for tonight. I'm Kim Dami. From all of us here at Arirang, thanks for watching and good night.